Here we go. All right, awesome. Well, once again, Cajun, thank you so much, man, for jumping on with us today. I know it was kind of a last minute thing when I reached out to you on Monday after all of us getting back from Puerto Rico and all that. But honestly, man, just from the things that Dylan had to say about you, I didn't expect anything less for you to just jump on here with us. So a couple things. Cajun, just to start us off, man, I mean, just tell us the story, kind of just how you got recruited, how you came into the business.
Yeah, so when I was first getting ready to join, originally it was with Transparent. I lived in Texas at the time. So I've been in the oil and gas for about 13 years. I had moved all over the country for it, lived in Utah, North Dakota, West Texas, and just worked a lot of big corporate company. And it really got to the point where I got tired of it. I had moved multiple times for them and I was just asked to move again. So they weren't really treating me like a human, more just like I was an asset for them to be used however they wanted. And it had always been a desire of my wife and I to move back to Vernal. It's where my parents and her family was. So we wanted our kids to grow up with their cousins and all the friends. And so we wanted to make some life changes. So I just went on Indeed and started looking at different career opportunities in the area. And then that's when I happened upon a Transparent ad. So went ahead and I read about it, did a little bit of research and put in my application. And next thing you know, here we are starting our company here in Vernal.
Wow, man, it's crazy how this business works out. I tell people that every day. It's a crazy thing, man. Just when you buy in and you just do what we train people on how to do. It's crazy what happens. So Cajun, I mean, what was your career like at first? I mean, kind of just walk us through a little bit, maybe a couple challenges you had, I mean, what was it like at first for you?
Yeah, so I think the easiest way to explain is that my first start was just like everybody else's. It was nothing special. There was a lot of suck. There was a lot of grit and grind I had to push through, a lot of figuring stuff out. Really, it was basically what you would expect, just kind of buying into the system. Did a lot of studying because I had a large sales background. It's what I had done previously. But when I went through the interview process, they were very clear that I needed to put all of that to the side and just trust sales team and how we needed to do this. And that's exactly what I did. So I put everything I had learned to the side and just trusted in the system. So there was a lot of home study. Guys, I can't stress how important that is. So many people go out in the field and they're doing their demo, but they're not focused on studying at home to improve it because there's so much you can do to better yourself in the field. You can be more productive. That was one of the things I learned early on in my career. I did not like cold calling, right? And so when I got a sit down, I wanted to make sure that I had the absolute best chance of producing when I got my sit down. So I used to spend and still do spend time just sitting on the edge of my bed or sitting at my desk with my iPad upside down, reading claims, memorizing claims, going over the demo, reading my sales talk, seeing how far away I've gotten. So auditing myself to make sure I'm as close as I needs to be when I'm having the sales conversation. That way, when I'm out in the field, I can absolutely maximize the time because I hated getting rebuttals, right?
Yeah.
Fine getting them because they're going to come. So you need to deal with them. But I hated the feeling that if I was a little bit better, I probably could have helped someone make a good decision. And so I remember one particular time, my wife and I had to drive to the city and I printed off all the flashcards off the Transparent website. And if there's just tons of little like one paragraph rebuttals you can use for people. So it was a 3-hour drive. I sat in the back seat and my wife drove with our family to Salt Lake. And I spent the entire 3 hours just memorizing flashcards. So that's how devoted I was to make sure that I was going to be the very best I possibly could when I was in the field. Because I got tired of having people ask questions or say things that I knew I just needed to know the right answer to help them make a good informed decision. So spending that time at home outside of my work hours to maximize my ability when I was in the field was such a huge thing that helped me get started well. So that is always the number one things I stress with anyone that I'm training. Spending at least 30 minutes to an hour at home. I don't care if you've been in this business for 6 months or 6 years. There's still things you can be doing at home to be bettering yourself, studying claims, keeping a fresh arsenal, because there's different people that have been through different things, right? So if you've got one or two cool accident claims, that's great, but that's not going to cover every situation. You need to have at least half a dozen to a dozen claims ready to go, just depending on who you're talking to. If it's someone that's elderly, someone with small kids, a single guy, that way you can relate and customize your sales conversations to them to help them realize that, hey, there's other people that are in your situation, your age, that use this and needed it as well.
Man, y'all, how many times have y'all heard us talk about just how important it is just to know your stuff, know it, and the reason why Cajun sold over 600,000 in premium in his first 12 months and made a few hundred grand his first 12 months of his business is because the time that he invested into himself and his business outside of work hours. Therefore, that's how he was able to show up, knowing the answers, knowing how to deal with. And just like Cajun just said, y'all, we have an IRA, a testimonial for any particular situation that's out there. And the fact that Cajun spent so much time investing into himself and his business and his knowledge, that way he can have the confidence when he's sitting down with people to know how to get them and to help them make a great decision for them and their family. Obviously numbers don't lie. Nobody shows up to the tournament without practicing like crazy before, right? Same thing applies in this business, y'all. Yeah, thank you, Cajun. It's y'all. Is anything Cajun? Did anything he just say just complicated? No, just study. Cajun, man, what's your daily routine like when you're getting up in the morning? And by the way, y'all, obviously Cajun's in Utah right now. It's 6 a.m. where he is. Obviously, he's up, ready to go for us over here. But yeah, man, what's your daily routine like?
So daily routine is pretty much what everyone would expect. I have 4 kids, so it's not like I just wake up and take care of myself every morning. It's getting up at 6 to make sure my daughter's starting to get ready for school, helping her get out the door. 7 o'clock, we start our elevated calls. And while those calls are going, I've got 3 other kids to start getting ready for school too. So my typical morning is, making school lunches for the kids, making a lunch for myself, attending my training, because training is critical, right? I'm on all of the training calls, whether it's Zoom or just conference calls, to make sure I'm getting all of the knowledge that's available out to me so I can be successful again when I'm in the field. So prior to all of that, I'm actually making a list of people I'm going to see. So planning my day. So while I'm sitting there eating breakfast cereal or whatever time I'm creating my calendar for the week. So when I leave my house, I know where I'm going. The first stop's always the hardest, right? You hit your first stop and then you just keep going after that. So if you don't have a list of businesses and have your day planned, you're going to have a lot of butt time sitting in your car pondering what you're going to do. And that is just wasted time. It's not going to help you at all. You're going to feel down. You're going to let, doubt and stuff set in. So if you have a plan in place and you know where you're going to go, it takes all of the thinking out of your day and you just act on your plan. So once I get the kids to school, then it's head to work. So that's why it's important to know where I'm going to go first thing in the morning, so I can just get my day going and just start implementing my plan that I've created.
Love it, man. Love it. Simple. Hey, y'all, there are 2 key ingredients to having a successful schedule. Number 1, have a plan. Number 2, execute the plan. So once again, y'all, none of these things are rocket science, but these simple little things are the difference, obviously. Cajun, man, I mean, when just kind of getting started in this business, what would you say, I mean, after being here for a few months or 6 months or whatever, what walls did you really kind of find yourself having to break through? Like for example, when did you really start feeling really confident in your ability to sell our product? And just what helped you get there? Obviously studying a lot was a huge part of that.
So when I probably was about 3 to 4 weeks in, one of the first walls I had to overcome was realizing that I could be myself while doing this. So the first couple of weeks, I was more or less just imitating my trainers, what I had saw. And honestly, it didn't feel right. It wasn't me. I was uncomfortable. I didn't like what I was doing in a way. I was being successful, but something was missing. And then one day it just finally clicked that I could just be myself and do this job, because I had saw 2 different trainers do it their way. I realized I needed to do this my way. And so really just being myself when I talked and approached people. I don't know why it took me so long to realize when I first walked into a business with my approach, I needed to be a human being first.
Yep. Yep.
And then do my introduction. So now it's really easy. I say easy because I have taught myself through repetition to be myself. So when I first walk in the door, it's not, hey, I'm Cajun with Family Heritage. What's your name? It's, what's up? How's it going, guys? How are y'all doing today? It's just being a human. When we starts to talk, they realize I'm just another cool guy, and just wanted to hang out with them and go over what I'm able to do for work and introduce myself. So that was the first barrier I had to break down, was really just understanding that, we have a sales conversation that we use, but we can be ourselves when we're doing that as well. The second barrier was having an abundance mindset, because my hometown's just 13,000 people. And there's a couple of cities around us that there was a couple other agents that were tried to do this year, but were honestly not very successful. So I felt like I was really running out of territory. And once I started to understand how this really works, I realized that there's too many people in my area and I can't see them all by myself. So yesterday I was at a Chamber of Commerce meeting and did a full demonstration to about 60 business owners in our community through the Chamber of Commerce. And when it was over, one of the guys that I've worked with and protected found out that he no longer worked for the business that he was at and was out in the job market. So I approached him when we were done, and after we were conversing, we're sat down a meeting for Friday to see if he wants to come work with me, because there's just too many people for me to go see, and I need someone to help me in our area. So just having, again, that abundance mindset that, there's so many people out there that I needs to talk to, that I'm never going to run out of people.
105:34.
Hey, Jeremiah Cook, please mute your mic there, buddy. Jeremiah, please mute yourself. Sorry
Would
about
you
that.
like a hard copy of that receipt?
Jeremiah, please mute yourself, man. I'm trying to find you on the list here. There we go. Thank you. Sorry about that, Cajun. Yeah. Man, y'all, I'll tell you what, it's the abundance mindset is so critical to your success in this business. There's always more people to see. Whether there's somebody that's worked, that area in the last 6 months or in the last week, guess what? There's still a lot more people to see. The other day, Matt Shorts had texted me just real quick because there was an agent from another agency down in the Pageland area. Matt Shorts walked in there. The people were like, oh yeah, we talked to somebody, from Globe Life, like a week ago, had her business card, showed it to them. She didn't get the enrollment. Guess what? Matt did. So, y'all, the abundance mindset, and, if you're confident in your skill set, and doing this the right way, hey, just always strive to be better than whoever else is out there. But y'all, there's always more people to see. And if you don't feel that way, get better at getting referrals. Or, just one example. So anyways, Cajun, you are obviously a top producer, like top of the top. Man, if you could just put your finger on like one or two things that has helped you in personal sales, which obviously the studying, having the abundance mindset, but I guess maybe like critical or technical pieces. If there was one or two things that you would say has just really helped you tremendously in your personal, top sales, what would that be? Referral, whatever.
Yeah. So one of the first things that I started adjusting for myself when I realized I could be myself was I changed the mindset that this was a sales talk to it is a sales conversation. Now, when you're having a conversation, it's just not one person talking, right? That's a lecture. So what we do is a conversation. Now, there's a lot of questions inside the sales conversation we're supposed to ask. Now, I would ask you to think to yourself, when you ask those questions, are you truly asking them? And are you waiting for a response? Or are you just saying it because you're supposed to? So when you talk to people, I always teach the 3-second rule. If I'm going to ask you a question, I'm going to wait 3 seconds after you've responded to make sure you're done. So this same conversation speed we're having right now with me pausing after I've said something is exactly the way I have all of my conversations. Because if I'm just spitting out all of the information that's on my iPad, that is not a conversation. That's a sales presentation. And we hate that, look, that we're just a salesman trying to here to pitch you something, because that's not what we're here to do. What I like to believe and what I've been told from clients is that we're educators. We're here to teach people and show them a product that can help them if they're put in a situation. One of the girls that I've worked with, we ended up taking a photo with each other when we were done, because when we finished up the demo and I asked her at the very end, what is it that you like the most? She stopped and she just said, well, you're like a teacher. And that's all she said. And at that moment, I started to well up a little bit, because, it just hit home that we're here to teach people what life could be like if they don't have a product like this in place to protect themselves, or what life could be like if they did have a product like this to protect themselves and their families. So just being a human being and having a conversation with people. And if you don't know your sales conversation by heart, then it is really hard to have that conversation, because you're so focused on what is the next thing I'm supposed to say. And if you're so focused on what you're supposed to say, you're not going to be able to listen to what other people are telling you.
Yep. Man, we are educators, not salesmen or saleswomen. We are educators, y'all. Yeah, I love it. I love it. And yeah, y'all, like Cajun said, if you're asking questions, there's two different types of people in this world, y'all. People who listen to respond, and people who listen to understand. Very two different types of people. And I love that you just tapped in on that, Cajun. So just kind of, last couple things here, man. And I'm gonna kind of go in a different order than what I sent this to you in, but because it would just make more sense. Man, what are your goals for this year? Just overall, what are your goals for this year?
So overall, I've set financial goals personally for my own sales, along with building our team. So what my main focus at this point is just helping others. My personal goal for building my team is I want to help 5 other individuals hit 500K in their very first year. So that is my team goal. I just want to be able to duplicate myself into others build that drive so that other people can have the same success that I've seen. So while doing that, I have my own financial goals that I want to do in sales, because I can't just drop off my personal sales and focus on building a team. That's not how this works, because if that's the way I was doing things, and I'm going to start losing my edge when I'm out training and building my brand. So here in Vernal, Utah, this is my hometown, my community that I grew up in. So my goal is to make sure that family heritage and my company, my brand, Cajun Consulting, is just a household name. It's just a normal thing people hear about conversation wise. Whether they're my policyholders or not, I want everyone to know our brand and what we do. So if someone's down the road and they just see a sign that says Globe Life Family Heritage, they know what that means. Because, when you look at our brand, it doesn't say that we sell accident and cancer and heart insurance, right?
Right.
So I want people to know that name and what we do just by seeing the logo. And so there's things I'm doing to make sure that happens. Okay, guys. So when I first started, my vision for this business here in the basin was I did not want that feel of a door-to-door business car salesman. I want a storefront on Main Street where people drive by every day to work and they see our company and our office right there on the road. So they know that, hey, I'm here to stay because we have a storefront, brick and mortar. Now, that's not for everybody, but that's what I'm doing. In order to do that, I've set stuff in place to make sure that's going to. So, building my brand, building our business, whenever I work with a company, I was in oil and gas for so many years. I'm used to big business benefits. So I created a benefits package that I leave with every company that I work with. It's got all of our brochures. It's got a roster of their employees and who has policies, what level of coverage. It's got, our Better Business Bureau comparison. Because when I leave a business, what have I done to make sure they remember me?
Yeah.
Now, a business card is not good enough because those get thrown in the garbage all the time, right?
Yeah.
So what am I doing to leave an impression and to leave my brand in that company? Now, a big sweet business packet is less likely to be thrown in a garbage can when I'm done working with them. So with that, even little things, swag, I love swag. This hat, I made this here locally in town. Went into one of the companies that we've protected that does embroidery. We've put my logo on the back, got Family Heritage Globe Life on the front. And there's nothing cooler than walking into a business around town and you see someone wearing your hat and your brand, right?
That's awesome.
So leaving your influence wherever you go, because people love free stuff. So we're currently building t-shirts right now. Just kind of working on what we want to do for those. I've got my own slogan that we've created that we're going to be putting on t-shirts, and just kind of some funny things we want to do to help people just start to know the name. I'm doing ads right now, waiting for the final approval. So in my town, we can advertise in the movie theaters before the actual shows start. So I've invested with a local company that does this. We did professional videos. And in the videos, I have a client and a business owner giving a testimonial about us working, what we're able to do. So hopefully in the next week or so, it's going to get its final approval. And by next month, we're going to be doing ads in my local movie theaters. I really wanted to do something like that. I was walking into a business and then was unable to meet with the owner, but then later saw that same owner walking into Maverick Top Gun with me. And I'm like, how cool would it be he watched this movie, see my ad, and then tomorrow I walked into his shop. So just, getting rid of the aspect of cold calling. So when I walk in, I'm an agent. I'm going to be super stoked when somebody says, I saw you at the movie theater on the screen. It's like, yeah, that's us.
That's awesome.
So that is my goal and what the reputation and brand that I'm building in my home.
Oh, man. Y'all, you want to talk about running your business like a business? Cajun's doing
Incredible.
it. Cajun is doing it. Y'all, the crazy thing is there's not a single thing that Cajun's doing that you can't do. Not a single thing that Cajun's doing that you can't do. I love it. All right, last thing. I know we're getting at the 8:30 mark. Well, just real quick, man. What's your goal for Train More next week?
So train more. I am doing a home more this week. My wife is actually headed out of town, so that's part of the part when you have a family, things happen, so you got to adjust. So what
Yep.
I've done is I have tried to load my calendar as much as I could with meetings and enrollments all next week. So it's going to be as successful as possible. I'm going to have a short week since she's headed out of town. Unfortunately, her grandmother passed away recently, and she's flying back to Louisiana to pick out a headstone for her. So I'll be Mr. Dad taking care of the kids, getting them to and from school. So I needed to absolutely maximize my effective time out in the field. So this whole week, I'm just loading my calendar as much as possible with meetings, enrollments. That way I can utilize my time in the field next week the best I possibly can. But you can do that same thing no matter where you go, right? If you're going out on the train more, you have access to data Genie. You can be searching where you're going to be. You can be writing down the businesses you're going to be seeing. You can getting the business owners' names so you're not cold calling. I mean, there's so much prep work that you can do to help you be successful no matter where you're going to be doing a train more.
You know what, y'all? Even though it's going to be a shorter week for Cajun next week, because he has prepared himself for next week, this week, I guarantee you, Cajun will probably still ride a good, 20, 25K at least, probably in premium next week. So, y'all, with the 5 P's, proper preparation prevents poor performance, right? Y'all train more next week. It starts today. Preparing for it started, this week, last week, the week before last. So y'all, the more that you're doing today, right now, to prepare for next week is only going to ensure your success to have a monster train more, hit all the monster bonuses, and just, be ready for it. Sounds like Cajun is just always ready. He's always ready to go. He's always prepared. He's always got a plan. I love it, man. Last thing, and we'll let you go. I know you got a household of mess to take care of, and then you got to get out in the field and all that. Cajun, just real quick, doesn't need to be some long drawn out thing. Just, hey, what has this career done for your family just in your first 12 months of being here?
So this career has been a blessing for sure. My wife and I had been praying for something that we could do to get back to our hometown. I've always wanted to own my own business. I'm a bit of an entrepreneur. I've had 2 small businesses I ran myself while having a full-time job, but I wanted my company to become my full-time career. So this has been such a huge blessing for us. It's given us the avenue to be able to do so. Just since we've moved back to Vernal, our family's been through so many things that without this career, I would not have been able to do a lot of the stuff we needed to, because you can have the flexibility if you earn it here better than you can anywhere else. So being able to have the time to spend with my family, the financial freedom that we've wanted, this has just been, I know for sure, a blessing from God to be able to help my family with what we needed to be able to do. And it can be the same for others. So sharing this opportunity, just like I mentioned, with a good friend of mine yesterday to possibly be a business partner with me was something that I was very excited with. That I have my brother-in-law down in Louisiana who heads to sales school next week. So I'll be training him the week of the 13th. So we're turning this into a family business.
That's awesome. Golly, I've got a lot of awesome notes, a lot of great notes. Y'all, once again, there's nothing that Cajun is doing that you can't do. The only difference is he's doing it. That's the only difference. Cajun, man, God bless you and your family. Thank you so much for being on the call with us this morning. So thankful that I was able to, help run this call with you, man. Just honored to be a part of it with you. And cheers to you and your success in this business. And hey, man, I'm excited to see what you do this year. Very excited. I mean, man, you're talking about just bringing 5 other new people in the business to produce over 500K in their first 12 months. Golly, that's 2.5 mil right there. So that's not including yours. I mean, you're talking about having over $3 million business just, in your first 2 years here, which is amazing. So thank you so much once again, Cajun. Y'all, I hope you took a lot of great notes. The only difference, now it's just time to put these things into action. So let's do it. Let's get prepared for Traymore next week, y'all. It all starts, if you haven't already started preparing for it, that starts today. Let's rock and roll. Cajun, once again, God bless you. Appreciate you, man. And y'all have an awesome, awesome Wednesday. Hump day. Woo-woo.
Thank you, Cajun.
Thank
Thank you,
you. Have a
Cajun.
blessed
It's always
day.
good to hear from you, bud.
Thanks, Cajun.
Take it easy, y'all.